Now, now, right now is the time, the very best time. And by the way, that's got to be the most words I've ever squeezed onto a small piece of painter's tape to stick to my mug. Pretty proud of that. I may have to keep that one. I thought about getting like a big cardboard thing and taking my topic for every day and just like covering this huge piece of maybe, I don't know, 4 feet by 6 feet cardboard, make a montage out of that. Sounds a little corny, but I thought it might be fun. Years later, go back and look at all the stuff that we've done together here over the years on the Morning Huddle. What's going on? I'm Bill DeWeese, professional voiceover talent since 2006, voiceover coach, demo producer, author. I've written a couple of books on the topic of voiceover. My latest, Get Paid Using Your Voice, Get Found, Get Heard, and Get Hired. And by the way, there's a link below in the description if you want to download the digital version of this. And thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. If you don't mind taking a second just to pop into the live chat, let me know where you're watching or listening from this morning, because after I wrap up my message, my content for this morning, I'll do individual shout outs to everybody on, which maybe you think it's corny, but I enjoy doing it. It's just a small way of showing my appreciation. And by the way, for those of you who are watching this later in the day, because I've got an email list of many thousands of people, and every day following this live stream, I send this out so that for those who've missed it or whatever, can still watch it. But if you're watching it later, just a reminder, we would love to have you as part of our daily live morning huddle. Morning for me, it's 8:30 Central Time is the time we do it every weekday. And for some, we've got those who are in Europe and in different parts of the world joining us in different time zones. But wherever you are, wherever you live, we'd love to have you here live. There's a certain dynamic that happens live. And the way to do that is go to my YouTube channel. Just search Bill DeWeese and you'll find me on YouTube. Subscribe and then hit that notification bell. And then, when we go live, you get the notification. You can join us live. It's even more fun. It's like you can watch the game on TV, which is cool. But when you're in the stadium, it's a whole different dynamic. Well, let's talk today about why now is the best time. By the way, I was thinking this morning about what I wanted to talk about, and I was looking through my latest book, Get Paid Using Your Voice. And starting on page 5, I talk about why now is the best time to get into voiceover. Now, I wrote this book within the past year, and at the time I wrote this, it was the best time to get into voiceover, which was a better time than the year before. And that time was better than the year before that. And today is even a better time than when I wrote this, months ago. Why is that? I want to talk about that because and I know there's somebody, probably not you, but there's somebody on this live stream this morning that's waiting for the best time. They're checking the winds of change. What's going on? They're watching the news. They're trying to find out, what's going to happen with inflation and the economy, their job, et cetera. By the way, there's always going to be stuff going on. And something you've heard me say before, and I'm going to say it again, is that markets and the economy, it's like a living organism. They breathe, they inhale, and they expand. Everybody gets excited. Yay, good times. And then they exhale and they deflate. And everybody's like, oh, that's the end of the world as we know it. And then they inhale. Oh, happy days are here. Then they exhale. That is the rhythm of life. It's the rhythm that we have as human beings. It's the rhythm of markets and it's the rhythm of the economy. And even trying to time out that stuff, those of you who've ever traded stock, like day traded stock, that's why it's nearly impossible to do, because you can't predict always, when the big inhale is going to happen, whether it's just a short gasp, whether there's going to be a bigger inhale coming, or whether the air is going to go out of the balloon. It's just impossible. Even all of the experts, the pundits, they don't know. They're taking their best guess. And history bears that out over and over and over again. So my point being that if you're waiting for the right time to jump in, holy cow, well, you're going to be waiting. You'll never jump in. You just never will, because there's always going to be something out there on the horizon that is a red flag that says, oh my gosh, don't do it now. People have been saying that for decades, I'm sure for hundreds of years, for various and miscellaneous kind of things. It's a trap. It's an easy trap to fall into. And it's human. It's human. That's the way we're wired to think. It's a self-defense mechanism, which can really, back in the days of dinosaurs and cavemen, It kept people from dying. It expanded their life, maybe a few years, and it can expand our life today. It's not a bad thing. But when it becomes our mode of operation, it can really do a lot of damage. But why is now the best time? Let's talk about it. And I think to give me just a second to set this up, because I think it's important to understand it within context, because if you look back, and the thing that kept me from getting into voiceover in the 90s, that's when in the 90s, why the 90s? That's when I gave it serious consideration. That's when it caught my imagination. I was working in radio at the time, and I thought, I mean, what could be cooler? What could possibly be cooler than working in voiceover? And, I'd heard tales of those who had done it and who were doing it, and I just thought, "Wow, that would be the most amazing thing." I didn't pursue it for one primary reason, was because at that point in time, it would require a completely different way of doing the business, and what I mean by that is, it was I'm talking like pre-internet or early internet, and to be able to function as a working full-time voiceover talent, what you would have to do is get agency representation. So there were fewer gatekeepers, way fewer opportunities. I mean, my gosh, infinitely fewer opportunities back then than there are now. Although the pay per job would be larger, but in terms of getting those jobs, it was a whole different ballgame. And to audition for the job, you didn't audition from home and send in auditions. You would travel into your agent. So for me, that'd be Chicago. All right. So that's an hour drive into the city if traffic's good. That means parking, a few hours there, time to get back. We're talking at least a half a day to go in just for an audition. Now, you guys know what it's like when auditioning. It's not uncommon to audition hundreds of times before you get a job. Can you imagine spending that many half days going back and forth to Chicago just for the audition? And then if I were fortunate enough to get the job, what does that mean? Well, that's another at least a half day to go in. What that means is it's hard to have a full-time job and do that. I had a family, a wife, 3 kids I'm raising, and, I can't take that kind of time off. It was just not practical. I mean, I could have done it, but the cost would have meant, um, taking jobs here and there where I could get them, where I had the flexibility, basically like, having multiple side hustles, that kind of thing. And I wasn't gonna do that to my family. If it was just me, absolutely. I'd have been all in for that, but not with a family. That's just, it's not gonna happen. So it ended up not being, for that reason, I just set it aside. Well, then my career took a turn. I moved out of radio in 2005, went to work for a business consulting firm here in the Chicago area. Was then recruited into a corporate learning services company. I was vice president of marketing and business development, and working with client partners and finding new business, that kind of thing. Because that's my jam. In case you didn't know that, that is my jam. That shortly thereafter, and I knew going in that we didn't have much runway. I mean, I knew that this business, it was a do or die situation, and unfortunately, could not build it fast enough to keep it afloat, and so was downsized out of that job in 2006. That is when That is when I burned the bridges and never looked back, because something really strange was happening. Not strange, but I mean, it was different and it was good. That is when platforms like Voices.com and Voice123, 2005 is when, I believe it's 2005 when those platforms came into being, that or early 2006. And so there's this new thing going on, this thing where, oh, I can leverage technology to communicate directly with clients, to audition for them directly from my home. It was a new thing. And I was fascinated by I love technology, and I love understanding how it can affect business for the good. Of course, many people were, they're looking at that like they're looking at AI today and thought, well, that's the death of voiceover. Well, maybe as voiceover as you knew it, but what it did was it democratized voiceover. It brought down the walls. It made it possible for virtually anybody who had the wherewithal. And by wherewithal, I mean the stamina, to develop the skills and to learn the marketing and to do the work. If you were willing to do the work, you could get the work. And from that point on, the market just exploded. Technology has changed it in so many ways, and I don't mean to turn this into a big lecture. I'm just trying to help you understand kind of the way this all works and why now is so good, and it will never be a better time than there is. I shouldn't say that because I mean, it might even be better next year. It could be better the year after that. I mean, who knows what's on the horizon? But I can tell you for sure, the longer you wait, the more you're going to miss out on. But now it's never been a better time than there is today to get in, to get into voiceover. Audiobook market exploding. The voiceover training market exploding. Look at YouTube. My Lord, how many millions or billions of hours of content have been created and are being created daily? Many, if not much of which requires some sort of ad because of, advertising on YouTube. It doesn't stop. There is so much going on. Now, along the way, like I said, markets and the economy, it's a living organism. It expands, it contracts. COVID came along. Certainly, that was a contraction of the market, of all markets. It affected people who hire voiceover talent, video production agencies. Many went out of business. A lot, their business was cut back. And I certainly saw a dip in my business. It didn't wipe me out, and it didn't hurt my standard of living any because I worked hard to build it to a place where it wouldn't do that. But there's no doubt that it contracted. But now what we're seeing is it's expanding again. Then what happens? Well, you've got AI, and people are saying, "Oh no, it was COVID and the economy, and now it's AI. Oh no, don't get AI is changing things, but it has not taken away the voiceover talent, and I don't expect that it will. It's actually, in my case, it's opened up doors to make more revenue, and I think with technology, you have to look for ways to leverage it to your advantage. Opportunity, or I should say, this uncertainty provides opportunity. When things like COVID and when things get tough like that, when AI comes along and people say, well, what's going to happen? Everybody's afraid to get in. Everybody's waiting. Everybody's waiting. There's the masses of people on the sideline waiting for it to get better, as they have been doing for hundreds, if not thousands of years in all areas of life, waiting for things to get better. As this beast, the markets, the economies expand, they contract. Here's the thing. You just jump in. You got to ride the wave where it's at, whether it's hitting the trough or it's hitting, the peak. You jump in and you're right at where it's at. I jumped into voiceover just before the big economic boom, not boom, but bust. Remember 2008 and the housing market? I jumped in just before that. But you know what? I didn't give that a second thought because I was working so hard marketing and I was growing throughout the whole thing because I outworked. I outworked the economic bust. And I'm not saying it's always possible to do that, but what I'm saying is, if you're waiting, you will be waiting for the rest of your life. There will always be another reason. And then what you'll see is that people learn to adapt and to work around it and with it, just like as we are with AI. And again, I'm not going to go down that complete rabbit hole. But now is the best time to get into voiceover. So if you've been just kind of hanging on the sidelines saying, well, let me just check this out, and you keep checking it out, and you keep checking it, and you keep checking it out, there comes a time, when it's, it's whether it's put up or shut up kind of thing. It's, that sounds a little harsh, but if you've been thinking about it for a long time, it's a good time. Good time. There's never been a better time than right now to get into voiceover. And I would encourage you to do that. There are links below in the description, of course, to training resources. And this channel is a great place to start, all this free content. Let's see what's going on in the stream. And forgive me for going a little longer this morning. For those of you who are newer, I don't normally carry on like that. But when it comes to, the business of voiceover, and it's, there's so many people have so many varying and different opinions. It's good I think to zoom out and get a 30,000-foot view of this business and the way all businesses operate. If you look at them from a high enough view, they all work pretty much the same. And the economy operates pretty much the same. It breathes in, it breathes out, and so on and so forth. You just got to hold your nose and jump in and then write it out. Rob, what's going on in Loveland? Good to see you here this morning. Hey, Rusty, up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Good morning. John in Denver. Nephi in Knoxville. Hey, Mandy in Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. Phil in Tokyo. Happy wonderful Wednesday to you. Hey, Mark in Montreal, Andrew in Renton, Washington, Robert in Indianapolis, Ethan in sunny and cold Ontario. Happy hump day to you as well. Theo says, greetings to Bill and everyone from the kitchen table in lovely Palos Hills. I missed you all the last couple of days as my non-VO job laid claim to my mornings. It's good to be back with my huddle crew. Theo, good to have you here, my friend. Jim in Grable. Joe in the UK. Always with a thumb. Always like that. Joe giving me that thumbs up every morning. GS, what's happening in Longview? Jim in Memphis. Let's see here. We've got Will in Beltsville, Maryland. Happy hump day to you. Marla in Texas. GC, good morning. Galen in Carborough, North Carolina. Good to see you. David in Hamilton, Ontario. GC is from Soggy, Scotland. VO in training here. Thanks for all the great advice. Well, GC, so glad to have you here. And I'm glad you're on this journey with us. Vince, good morning from sunny Palm Bay, Florida. Sorry I fell off the map for a while, but my radio job has had me hopping since the big storm. I can only imagine, Vince. I'm just glad you're okay. And yeah, I get that. Mike, good morning, everyone from Oak Island, North Carolina. Alex in Utah. And then the other Alex, spelled with an I as opposed to an E, is up in the Cleveland area, Westlake, Ohio. Andrew in Latvia. Hey there, Andrew. Jerry, good morning to you in Dallas, Texas. Sandra, Worthington now is always the right time. Oh, Sandra in Worthington, now is always the right time. The only time you really have is now. Sandra, you're so right. There's a great book called The Power of Now for those of you who are interested in exploring that topic from more of a philosophical standpoint. Dory, good morning to you in Maryland. John in Metro Atlanta. Wayne in poor tortured Washington. Ralph in Fresno, California. John in Rhinebeck. Patrick in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Anthony, Concord, North Carolina, rather. Aaron in Columbia, Missouri. Timothy in Altoona. Scotty in South Dakota, 33 degrees. Kurt, good morning to you in Greenville, South Carolina. The new training website looks impressive. Well, thank you, Kirk. Yeah, we've recently migrated over to a newer, better platform. Always trying to give our students the very best. Serious hello to you in Charlotte. Bob in Reedsville, North Carolina. Alex, for me, I feel like starting.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first. I don't see Charlotte Bob in your contacts. To who?
Thank you, Siri. Appreciate that. Siri, always monitoring, always listening, always talking to potential advertisers as to what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Alex, for me, I feel like starting voiceovers like planting a tree. The best time is years ago. The second best time is now. That is one of the best sayings. The best time to plant a tree, years ago. Second best time, today. Andrew, yep, it's 4:32 p.m. and sunny. Dave, Carterville, Lion Sports. Good morning from beautiful Southern Illinois. Marla says, great book. Get it. Marla, thank you for the unsolicited plug. Appreciate that. Gail in Detroit, you made it. Good to see you, Gail. Hey, Troy, good morning to you in Pickering, Ontario, Canada. Krista, good morning. Corey in Whitehall, Wisconsin, good morning. Jerry, I love that my family didn't understand a single job role I held from college to a few months ago. Now when I tell them I'm doing voiceover, they 100% get it. Awesome. Very good. Daisha, hello. Jerry, good morning. It says, I agree. Get the book. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. Denise, hello in Long Island. It's Dan in Cumming, Georgia. John in Vestal, New York. But today in Brigantine, New Jersey. Hope I said that right. Melissa in San Diego. Jim, I have had the book for a few months now and consulted regularly. Thank you, Jim. Hey, Mary, what's going on in New Jersey? Hope you're doing well this morning. Rick, hello in St. Paul. Denise, what's up? Let's see here. Mike in Grants Pass, Oregon. Denise in Pasadena, California. We've got Sky in Salt Lake City. Hey, Sky. Mandy says, I dipped my toe in the 90s, but had to take a job to support myself, then marriage and kids. Now is my time again. Just got a call on a project out of nowhere yesterday. Just keep swimming. That's right, Mandy. You got it. Jason, good morning from Kearney, Nebraska. Coleman says, my first gig was in 1998. I lived what you said. I'm back. So happy to see the industry has changed. Thanks for guidance. Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Joy says, hello, everyone from chilly, sunny Southfield, Michigan. Jim, just like Nike says, just do it. Kim from Tucson. Thank you for being here, Kim. Andrew, if you like the content, don't forget to click the button. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay. We've got like two-thirds of everybody on here has liked the video. That's amazing, guys. Thank you for that. It just encourages YouTube to show the video to more people who are looking for this kind of content, which is a big deal. Javier says, hey, Bill, I ran a small campaign on Google Ads, but no results yet. I mostly work for freelancer platforms, but I want to build my own career through the website. Any advice? We'll get into Q&A on Friday. I will say that Google Ads, that would be one of my last choices for marketing. As a matter of fact, my experience with advertising for voiceover, now I do advertising for my voiceover training, but for my voiceover services, I've had literally zero success with that. So marketing, you got to market. Whether you advertise or not, that can be, a whole other thing. We can talk more about it Friday if you want to. Jerry says it's like surfing in many ways. Learn to spot and ride the waves, and when sharks appear, swim faster than the people around you. Yeah, what's that joke about? There's a bear chasing you and a friend, and something about that you don't have to worry about outrunning the bear. You just have to outrun the friend in front of you. I don't think that's the case with voiceover, but I always thought that was a funny joke. Hey, Marla, Tanya, good morning from the Eagles struggle bus in South Philly. Well, even football teams, they expand. Remember when the Eagles were riding the wave? Then they contract, you rebuild, then you expand, but you don't jump off. You stay in, you hang in, you go through the building times, you celebrate the great times. And then when things aren't as great, then you work hard, you get back to the great, it's life. Business is no different than life. It's a great microcosm of life. It's a great place to learn lessons, life lessons, in my opinion. Well, guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate the likes. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. Hit your, alert button, bell there to make sure that you get the alerts so you don't miss any of these cool get-togethers. I enjoy it. I hope you do too. I assume you do or you wouldn't be here, right? Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.